Good morning. I am making a video today to describe what this place is like. In some of my previous videos, I say how I have blah days, or that it's just weird. People are weird, but I don't describe what that weirdness actually is. So I thought that maybe I should give maybe a little more detail about the oddities of this place. And I'm going to start with what a host is. A host is a person who is empty. They're just like an empty being, and they are able to mimic anyone and everyone that they come in contact with, whether it is on the internet, whether it is in the store, or even you. And so a host entity will seem like a normal person. However, if they are hosting, say, the energy of it's difficult to explain, but Joseph was a host, or is a host. And if he had been around his sister or in contact with his sister recently, then he would laugh like her, and he would take on her demeanor. He would kind of, soften, more feminine, like not extra feminine, but he would take on her demeanor, her laugh, everything about her. And then if he came across someone else, and I guess it's a matter of choice that he can do this or not, but if he would mimic me, if he would act like me, then it was like, wow, I really like him today. But he would walk like me, and he would laugh like me, and he would literally take on my being, anyone's being. So a host entity, I've heard songs about the heavenly host on high. I don't call it heavenly at all. It's disturbing at so many levels you can't even imagine. The good thing is that he can also host God. God will enter his being, and then some magical things will happen when he is around. But to be in the presence of that person who can change moment to moment, or even be that same person for a full day, and then you wonder who he really is. Like when I first met him, I thought he was someone, but then he started to kind of change. He would have true personality changes, but it would be his full being, his walk, his laugh, his talk. And he would still talk like a man, but he would change to represent that person, male or female. So about 5 different people that I have come in contact with on a regular basis are host entities, and I guess not really sure their absolute purpose, but sometimes they are like spirit guides and they help, and other times they will even host evil and cause great harm. So it's you have to be really careful around them, and I've been pretty much removed from them now. I have very limited contact with anyone here except for at the grocery store. So that's diminished significantly. But he could be really, really great great, and then he could be really, really bad. So host entities are interesting from a psychological standpoint as a study, but they're just empty beings that basically live off the energy of everyone else. And it's really, it's really weird. So that's one of the dynamics of the Kundalini journey. Another dynamic of the Kundalini journey is ego land, where everyone that you come in contact with, whether it's on the news or in your immediate environment, you start to see them as a slightly different version of the same people. And so, like my dad, let's say, would represent the superego. So then I would see my dad young, I would see my dad old, I would see my dad as some kind of a twisted pervert. And he would always have a similar look about him, even though he could be extremely different. Maybe he's fat, maybe he's thin, maybe he's Chinese, maybe he's black, maybe, he's all these different combinations, but I would recognize him, that 1% of your DNA that's always you, I would recognize him as like a version of my dad. And I was like, oh my God. And sometimes it was really profane, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be around this person. And other times it was pretty phenomenal that I would see him in an extraordinarily improved health state, let's say. But then I would see him as the shadow and light version, so I would see him good and I would see him bad also. And he could be the clerk at the grocery store. He could also be the the person stacking vegetables at the grocery store at the same time. He could also be the man in the parking lot, helping his handicapped wife to the grocery store. He could also be a man going by on a bicycle. Okay, so then you throw in your mother and your family members and your cousins and your aunts and uncles and your best friends, and they're all like the same. They're all the same. Slightly different versions, but the exact same people. They kind of laugh the same. They all have a similar look as your original, say, family and friends. Or there would be combinations. A previous boyfriend's sister would manifest around me, excuse me, and if I was like super nice to her, just being kind, then she would start to manifest, short, tall, fat, thin, old, young, every nationality around me. And so that would be the weirdness that I can't tolerate sometimes. It gets too much. That's part of the third eye opening, when you see the variations, like windows and rooms of God's house. You see the variations of everyone, only they kind of saturate your environment with them. And so I would see, like, my mother, young and, the same dynamic, young, old, thin, fat, Chinese, black, French, excuse me. And sometimes they're really nice and sometimes they're really not nice. And it's really disturbing like, no more, or I'm gonna do something bad with my powers. Back off. So you don't really want to go places because the president is a version of my dad, and so listening to him, you can see some of his mannerisms that are the same as my original dad in my previous life. And so it's like, well, I could see my dad taking on that role. And then I would see him as like some TV personality preacher. And I'm like, now mind you, they are slightly different, you know, they're slightly different, but they still have this similar look about them. It would be kind of like when you see like Julia Roberts' daughter, how she looks so much like her mother. Of course, she also has her own look about her, but she looks so much like her mother. Well, put dark hair on her, and I would see that. So I would see Julia Roberts in a movie, and then I would see Julia Roberts young and with dark hair, with blonde hair, you know, that whole gamut. And do that with your friends and family, and you see the entire world as the same people, the same 50 people. and the profane to the beautiful. And so in ego land, which is what I call it, that is what you see, that is what you experience. You even experience yourself. Sometimes they would do the shadow of me, and it would be so profanely disgusting that I was like, no, that's just like a game or something. There's no way that could even be true, but you know, they show it. So when I've had too much, then I go back to my apartment and I do not go into the world. So that's another dynamic of this place. And it's, after almost 14 years, I get really, really sick of it, tired of it. You know, it's like, enough already. Show me real people. Show me real people. I loved real people. I'm so sick of ego land. The other thing, briefly, that happens here, and I have mentioned this in one or two other videos, is it's also karma land. So karma is being repaid almost instantly to everyone now, but I had a friend in high school who punched my windshield. I don't even know, I can't remember the whole story now, but she got really mad. It was about her wedding, and her mother was being really mean and bossy, and so she was expressing that. She wasn't mad at me per se, but she was expressing that, and she punched the windshield, broke it. And she wouldn't pay for it until my mother called her mother and said, pay for it, you know. And so I don't know whatever came of it, if she paid for it or she didn't, but the windshield was replaced and life went on. That was the story. So in this room, I have seen her in other versions of life, like I just described the ego, and she's had 3 broken windows. So when I say your karma comes back on you, I've lived it. I've seen it. If I slam a door, then 3, 4, 5 people will slam a door. And they'll usually do it when I've been sensory enhanced, so it's super magnified, and it's like, oh my gosh, don't do it. But now they're getting their payback. Mine is done. I'm at the end. So another thing, if you have cheated on your spouse or a long-term relationship, which would still be considered your spouse, then in this realm, if you hadn't paid for it in your previous life, you will certainly pay for it in this realm. It will be made clear to you that that is a serious breakdown of trust, and it's wrong to do, and it's better to get a divorce and then, enter into a relationship rather than having a backup relationship before you get a divorce, before you break up with your significant other. You will pay for it here. They will ensure, they will, as I said, they control 90% of everything about me. So they will bring someone into your life during this time and have you having the greatest time ever, and then have that person cheat on you so that you know what it feels like to cheat on someone. And so, and if you've done that multiple times in your life, then it will happen to you multiple times here in a very distraught, disturbing way. So your karma does come back to you, only it comes back to you more than just in your initial life action. An eye for an eye, nah, this is not exactly an eye for an eye. You get it more than just one time. Because like I said, this area cycles over and over. You don't just enter the Kabbalah once, or you don't just do the cosmic path once. You continuously do it like a cycle, like a wheel, round and round, over and over and over and over and over. The so-called hanging, going down to the kingdom, if you don't attain the kingdom, then you will do it again until you attain the kingdom. So anyway, it's not just a one-time deal. You don't just live everything once. You live it over and over and over and over and over for years, for absolute years. And all the wrong you did, the bubble gum you put on the bottom of someone's shoe, you will have bubble gum put on the bottom of your favorite shoes. Just all of it comes back to you here, so that you know that that wasn't very nice to do. Energy never dies. It can just be changed. It can be transmuted into a higher energy so that it can produce something good, or it can be changed to something worse, and then it is worse. So I'm going to end the video here. I'm going to talk about a few other things in another video, but I just wanted to express that this morning, that it's a very different place. So when I say I'm tired of being here, you might have a little more understanding about why I'm tired of being here if you see the same 50 people throughout the entire world as your friends and family and relatives, work associates. It gets really old after a while. You want diversity, and it's kind of nice to see someone else getting their karma when they've done something really unkind to you, but you also receive yours from your previous life and past lives. So sometimes you get karma, you don't even know why. It's probably because in a past life you did something that caused harm, so now you are experiencing it in this one. So anyway, that's about it for now, and I will make a second video to finish the topic. Thanks so much.